Hi, I'm Lucas, welcome back, and this is the follow-up, the second video on the ViiGim 503 klassisch, where I try to briefly show the accessories and stuff that I forgot in the first video. So yeah, let's get started. There are many little things I want to show you, and there's no particular order. So we'll get going with what I have here first. And the first thing that you might have already noticed is this little cable here coming from the battery port of this A7S camera. So basically this is a DC coupler, which I have hooked up directly to the gimbal, to the connectors I showed in the first video. And as you can see, I'm now powering the gimbal as well as the camera from the same battery source. Pretty neat. Now this will drain the battery a bit more, but therefore we can also attach another accessory. We have like this battery holder I showed you before, and this is the carriage for the battery holder. And then we have this. This is just a little adapter for larger batteries and hooked up the same way. It's a bit shorter than the battery carriage. We screw it on. And then we can power the gimbal with something like this. This is a LiPo 3S rechargeable battery, which is usually found in RC racing cars, planes and spaceships, no idea. We still need a little adapter cable from our battery. This is a bullet connector, it's called like that, to a JST connector, which is this little red thingy that we can also find on the gimbal. And a very short heads up, on the cable that I have here, and I ordered this from Austria, the polarity was off. So basically the cable was colored the wrong way. So as you can see here, I had to switch the polarity by just resoldering it black to red and red to black. And now it works fine. Just make sure when you get such an adapter cable that you have the proper polarity on them. Before we talk about how we can attach this battery to our gimbal, let's talk a bit about this. And this finally is the external joystick that I told you about in the first video. So basically we have this little knob here, so we can move the camera with it, pretty neat. And it looks a bit like from a PlayStation actually. We can attach it on a few different ways. You can see we have like threads in here on the other side and also on this side that is connected to the handle. We get a little screw here, or actually a few of them, I just use one in this case. And there are holes as well in the grips, as you can see here. I hope you can see this. And there are holes also in the top rail. And then we can attach this little joystick to our rig. There's also a 1/4 inch thread on the back. On the back of the joystick we have a little 3.5mm audio jack connector, which is the way we connect this to our gimbal. So basically we only need an audio cable with 4 rings. This is important, 3.5mm audio jack. You can hook it up to the joystick, and then if you have it hooked up to the gimbal, as I showed you before, there's the audio jack on the back. We have the capabilities of our joystick available. To attach the battery to the gimbal, I just used some Velcro strips that I got very cheap from IKEA. And yeah, just get the battery on here so it's attached to the handle. So now just for the record, of course this works. So we have the battery hooked up, which powers everything, the gimbal and the camera. And also we have hooked up the little remote here, and of course this works too. As you might have noticed, the cable is a bit long and I definitely have to get a shorter one. But for now this works very fine. And in my opinion, the external joystick is much more convenient to use. It's a lot smoother and somehow also a bit better to use than the little integrated one. But why stop there? As an accessory we can also get a little clamp, so we can attach basically anything to our top rail. Like I have this little display here, which is my little trusty 5-inch monitor I reviewed a few years back. And I can also maybe see this little red-black cable I have here, this power cable. This is of course way too short, it's just for demonstration because I don't have a longer cable here. But as you can see now, I also power the complete display directly from the gimbal, from one single power source, which is this LiPo battery, which is pretty neat. Maybe you can also see this very small, very thin HDMI cable I have connected to the camera here. And I actually believe this won't last long in a real production. But still, if you have like a very elastic cable, not one of the stiff ones, you can easily use this with an external monitor on your gimbal. And now I could imagine that some of you find a little display attached to the gimbal of this size is a bit of overdressed, but therefore we can also of course attach a little holder for our smartphone, which I have here. And many cameras these days, like Sony or Panasonic, have a little app where we can check our image through Wi-Fi with an app, and this way we can also easily attach our phone to this rig. Also pretty neat. Now I only have one accessory left to talk about, which is the biggest one, quite literally, which is an EasyRig. So an EasyRig is there to get the weight off our arms. So basically we have this kind of vest here. So now I have this little great thing on me, and here I have a little rope which is connected to a holder, which I then can use to attach the gimbal to. Of course, an EasyRig will help us with any setup that is a bit heavier and gets on our arms. Be it a camera or our rig, as long as we can attach it to this little handle here for the EasyRig, we can pretty much use it and get the weight on our body and not on our arms, which is pretty neat. We can also attach this little dampening mechanism here, which attaches to our top rail here, and this basically helps a bit with covering the up and down movement that we produce while walking. And if you watched my first video carefully, this is basically the only axis that we cannot properly stabilize with a gimbal. So this comes in pretty handy for such a setup. For now, I don't want to talk too much about the EasyRig because I don't want to make an in-depth video on this later in the future as a review, but just for now that you can see that it's a great little helper for the occasional gimbal user. Let's talk about the things I forgot in the first video. So basically I didn't talk anything about the manual. With the gimbal we get this great little quick reference guide, which is rather large and where every important thing is covered, how to set it up and where to get help, etc. A bit of the accessories are posted. Then we get this nice little sheet of paper where everything is explained, where we find what. We also get a little information on the power sockets we have on the gimbal with which we can power the camera and accessories and so on and so forth. And we have this little piece of paper, and this was obviously printed after the manual was made. It's just like some sort of addition, which some tips and tricks regarding the upside down mode of the thing. And on these images you can see a way how not to snap your cable when you attach the little battery holder to the grip. I was asked this in the last video, and yes, these cables can easily break, and therefore just connect it like it's written on this sheet of paper so you're safe. Now I think I showed you everything I've got. You know, sometimes it's the little accessories that really help us big time, and sometimes it's the big accessories that help us get the tiny things like the ache out of our arms. So now thank you so much for watching. I hope this was helpful in one way or another, and I hope to see you soon again. And yeah, bye. I really have to get this off me now.